I'm Joe Zakowski.
And now I'm Bianca Willis.
And this is
Cutting Edge News. Happy November. It's been a rainy and busy first week of the month.
It's a little late for spooks and thrills, but here's our Halloween recap.
Go Braves!
Happy Halloween! But wait, there's more. The history of Halloween. Now I know all of you groaned when I said history. When you think of Halloween, you probably think of trick-or-treating or jack-o'-lanterns. But what about the origins of Halloween itself? Halloween is based on a Celtic festival called Samhain. The day of Samhain was celebrated on November 1st. But the eve of Samhain was celebrated on October 31st, when the Celts believed ghosts could come back to our world and haunt the living. Food and drinks were placed outside their doors to ward off these ghosts. If anyone went outside, they wore costumes to disguise themselves from these ghouls. This tradition of costumes has carried on through the centuries. But what about the name? Well, in the 9th century, the Christian Church changed Samhain's Day, celebrated on November 1st, into All Saints' Day, which became known as All Hallows' Day. So the night before became known as All Hallows' Eve, which got shortened into Halloween that we celebrate today. So enjoy your candy, and happy All Hallows' Eve!
Here's a blast from the past, a movie review of one classic horror film.
Time to take a visit to the past in horror, guys. This one's a classic. 1950s moviegoers were scared out of their wits by this classic that has almost been forgotten by today's generation. Creature from the Black Lagoon was accepted among horror fans with open arms, having used never-before-seen techniques and innovative technology.
The actors they used for the creature were Rico Browning, a professional swimmer who was fairly well known at the time, and Ben Chapman. They put the actors in a suit which looked very intimidating, and during the underwater scenes, Browning wore an oxygen tank.
Also, the entire suit had been hand-sewn together, not using any artificial material or means. While it may not be the most scary movie today, it still builds suspense for the youth of our generation. It's great for a 50s movie with acting that actually isn't half bad. I personally love it, though it doesn't stand up to today's standards. Now, for those of you who have watched the movie, here's some news. 20th Century Fox is considering remaking the movie with modern technology. Here are some things they want to do with the movie. Remember that shrieking damsel in distress? Well, I don't think she'll be screaming anymore since Scarlett Johansson is taking the lead female role. Also, the film won't be horror-themed, but rather action-packed and mysterious. Now, there are multiple ways this could go wrong. First off, turning it into an action movie may just turn out the way that I, Frankenstein and Dracula Untold did, and from what I've heard, those are terrible. Next, it might become too hyped for its own good, with Scarlett Johansson being the only reason why people would go. And if they use CGI instead of traditional techniques, it could ruin the movie like it ruined the Hobbit series, for example. I sincerely hope that they don't mess this one up, because it's like my favorite monster. I'm Casey Phillips, signing off.
Thanks, Casey, and good luck. Good luck to all the DDFers as well who are competing in Haines this weekend.
Now let's take a minute to look back at the history of MEHS.
Hello, I'm Alessandra, and welcome to the MEHS History Minute. Ever wondered how Mount Edgecombe came to be? Let's take a stroll back to the beginning to find out.
Wow, that looks familiar. Anyhow, MEHS is located on Japonski Island. During World War II, Sitka was the first operational base in Alaska, and at the time of the Pearl Harbor attack, it was a commissioned naval air station, whose construction had started in 1939. At the height of the war, up to 8,000 sailors and aviators were stationed in Sitka, along with the Marines. At this time, the population was only about 2,000. So, how did a military installment become a high school? It all began in 1947 when the then abandoned World War II base was adopted by the Bureau of Indian Affairs and transformed into a hospital. A hospital specifically for Alaskan Native kids with tuberculosis. These kids needed an education, thus the Mount Edgecombe boarding school came into existence, so that they could learn away from home. In present day, Edgecombe's influence to educate Alaska's future leaders has paid off and become the proud school we know today.
Thanks, Allie, for that look back in time. Now let's look ahead to 2016.
Right now, the candidates are seeking the nominations of the two main political parties in the U.S., the Republicans and the Democrats. So, what is a political party anyway? A political party is a group of people organized around issues for the purpose of winning elections and then gaining political power and influence. In 1787, 55 delegates from the 12 of the 13 states convened in Philadelphia. After 4 months, they produced the document that we know today as the U.S. Constitution. The U.S. Constitution establishes the structure of the U.S. government. Ironically, the Constitution said nothing about political parties. Our first president, George Washington, was greatly admired and respected by most of his contemporaries. Once he left office in 1796, he warned his countrymen against the grave dangers of political parties. But as soon as George Washington was out the door, political leaders in the new republic almost immediately broke into rival camps that became the first political parties in the U.S. Ever since, political parties in the United States have continued to be a source of intense interest, competition, conflict, and sometimes even compromise. First are the two leading Democratic candidates. First up is Hillary. Hillary who? Hillary Clinton. Former First Lady, U.S. Senator, and U.S. Secretary of State Hillary is a 68-year-old woman from Chicago, Illinois. She's had her taste of the White House, and she's one Democrat that believes she is what America needs. Next up, Bernie Sanders is a 74-year-old man from Brooklyn, New York. This guy Bernie has been a U.S. Senator from Vermont, Chairman of the Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs, a member of the U.S. House of Representatives, and Mayor of Burlington. That's a lot of credentials. Anyways, Sanders is seeking the nomination of the Democratic Party and is a self-described Democratic Socialist. Next are the two leading Republican candidates. Now we have Dr. Ben Carson. He's a 64-year-old brain surgeon from Detroit, Michigan. He's been married since 1975 and has 3 sons. He's a right-wing conservative Republican. Lastly, Donald Trump. 69-year-old business tycoon from New York City, New York, Donald Trump has a net worth of $4.5 billion according to the Forbes magazine issue released October 2015. He makes a salary of $250 million a year. He's been married 3 times and fathered 5 children. He's a right-wing conservative Republican. Stay tuned for more information about the additional candidates, issues, and the political spectrum in our upcoming report.
Congratulations to our Lady Braves, who won the first game in the best of 3 against the Sitka Wolves in the regional tournament. Game 2 is on. A lot's happening this weekend, from Whale Fest to wrestling.
Stay updated, Mount Edgecombe,
On the cutting edge.